He called me Ed Warren, the way I wifed a girl called Lauren.
Lorraine.
Lorraine. I was going insane, smoking
Yo.
crack and drinking cocaine. I'm a rap star. I'm a trap star.
And
And
you
I'm
also
driving the car straight off the cliff,
you
bitch.
also investigate demons full of semen.
What? Okay, hi guys, and welcome back to a new episode of the Slash and Gash Horror Podcast. Today we're going to do a little overview of the Conjuring universe. It's one of them kind of films that we've been. It's really like there's been a film in this universe come out quite periodically in mine and Frank's lives as we've grown up. I think originally me and him went to go watch The Conjuring 1 in cinemas, and I think we would have been in college at this point. So I remember we're going to see it. We must have been what, 16, 17, something like that.
Yeah. Well, 2013. It was when we went to watch it. Ugh, can't even get my words out. Um, and I think we would have just turned 17. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we would have done. Yeah. So this is like really been a franchise. Obviously, you've got The Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2. We've got Annabelle 2. Is there a third Annabelle? There's three, right?
There's Annabelle. Annabelle takes a big shit, and then, oh no wait. There's There's Annabelle. Annabelle takes. No, she doesn't take anything, does she? There's Annabelle creation. Then there's Annabelle comes home. There's them three.
Where was she?
But then they're all scattered all over the fucking shop, innit?
Yeah.
Where was she? She was dashed in that little mini thing in it, the glass box by Lorraine.
She was in the. Yeah, true.
Um,
So, in like a serious question, then. So, what? How would you describe the franchise then? Like, what would be your kind of quick overview for the listeners? Maybe I don't
uh,
mean like background, but your just opinions on it.
like a summary of what I think of it, the franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, for my thoughts of the Conjuring franchise, like overall, I think it's a great modern day like supernatural franchise. That's like for me, it took like the game to a whole new level. Like we had like in the 70s we had The Exorcist, and then we had the Blair Witch in the late 90s, and then we had Paranormal in
Mm.
'07, which kind of like started off a bit of a boom in it. And then we had Insidious. But for me, like, even though Insidious franchise does have some sick films, but like for me personally, I think Conjuring just it took the supernatural horror game to like levels above them other franchises. Like, and that's mostly down to James Wan, isn't it? That guy's just a creative genius when it comes to like creating shit. Like, I know he's using real events or quote unquote, real things that might have happened for his stories. So probably writing the scripts for especially the Conjuring films might have not been too hard. But still, like the way he directed them films, especially that first one, like, I don't know about you, but it had me on edge, if you remember when we watched it.
Yeah.
So like, for me personally, like this universe is just I think now anyway, it's kind of we've not had it since we've not had a well, we had the Nun 2. I haven't seen that. Did you go watch that?
The Nun 2, I did not. It just didn't. The trailer kind of didn't do not for me. For me personally, I thought the Nun 1 was a bit shit. So seeing like they're doing a second Nun, I was just like, eh, it didn't really do much. So I didn't bother
Yeah.
watching it.
No, I agree. I think we must have been speaking at that time thinking like about the film, obviously. We would have said like I think I might have said no, and then obviously you probably like just fucked it off as well. You probably, I just, I didn't like the way the trailer looked. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the Nun one was pretty disappointing for me anyway in general. So like,
Yeah, like I'll say this for the audience. Like, we like the Conjuring franchise, but there is some fucking bags of shit in it. Do you know what I mean? There is some big fat fucking ass wipes in this franchise. In
yeah,
fact, in some ways, there's more shit films in the franchise than good ones, in my opinion.
yeah. No, that's actually true. Like they've they've like taken obviously characters from the successful films and they thought like, yo, okay, how do we expand this franchise now? Let's like pick out characters like the nun. Obviously, she was like Valak in it. She's Valak in Conjuring 2. And she's so good in Conjuring 2 though. Like it works, but they didn't need to make a spin-off character. Do you know what I mean? Like I personally didn't want to see. I don't mind the nun, but I don't know why they made a second one. Like,
Well, at the end of the day, if you think about it, bro, if you remember the kind of the internet when these films were coming out, everybody and their nan was bumming the nun, like the character after Conjuring 2. You remember, everyone thought it was super scary.
mm,
Like, so as soon as the studio sees that and they see a bit of buzz around a specific character, they think we'll make a little spin off because he's the same with the Crooked Man. Do you remember in Conjuring 2 they were going to make a Crooked Man spin off? You know, the
yeah.
Crooked Man with his crooked cock. Like, it's just
Yeah.
random. It's obviously, thank God that film never came to fruition because, like, who gives a fuck? But I think the studios just sit there. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's Hollywood. They're trying to make a buck. Are they going to get some random guy, some random director, some random writer, and they'll say, here, you've got fucking some IP, make me a fucking shit horror film. And some guy who's just, low on the totem pole, trying to make it in Hollywood, he's going to do it, innit?
Mm. Like, obviously, the stories have been by James Wan in it, but the screenplays have been written and directed like besides Conjuring 1 and 2. I think they're the best ones in it in the franchise, but it makes sense why they are because they are written and directed by James Wan. You can tell, you can sense his absence in it in the other ones.
Oh, definitely. Like, for me, Conjuring 1 is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It really worked. It has like a very kind of scary, creepy vibe. The perfect, obviously, set in the 70s. Uh, they're in this big farmhouse. It has the kind of like old school, New England kind of. I don't know if it's in New England, maybe it's in the Midwest somewhere, but it's obviously it goes back into the lore of like there's some crazy witch bitch, Bathsheba.
Hmm.
She, obviously worships the devil. She kills herself, and then she's like this spirit, right? So it has a kind of like cool, interesting lore behind it. And obviously Ed and Lorraine Warren really cool. Really like. I know in real life some people say they're kind of like fakers and they just made shit up.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to get into that. Around the truths, the truths of flipping if there's life after death or there's spirits, or if Ed and Lorraine Warren were actually like liars and bullshitters.
Hmm.
But also, you have this deep lore. It's really interesting. It's supposed to be based off true events, so that's a
I
really good
think
one
I
for
think at the
me.
time, do you remember like when they put that like at the start of the Conjuring, like where it looked so creepy in it, like when we watched it, like obviously we were still, I don't know about you, but like I had no background info on the Conjuring. Like we watched the trailer once, like we were in college in it, so we didn't give a fuck about like now we look at trailers deep in it, we'll be like, is it really worth going to watch it or not?
Mm.
Like now, back in the day, like we had a lot of time on our hands in it. Obviously, we were like late teenagers, and we'd just go watch anything in it because one, it was like just an excuse to chill, and two, like we'd want to just go watch it and just to see what the fuck it's about. And like when the film started, like it said in it, like there was like a quote like, this is based on a true story, blah blah blah. This happened, that happened. Like they obviously quoting things from the case in it, the real case, the Perrin family haunting, which was obviously based on The Conjuring 1. And
Mm.
like when that started, and I think the start of that film is pretty cool, isn't it? Where they show that Annabelle doll, but the film's actually nothing to do with Annabelle, but they're laying the groundwork in it. Like the the it's instantly, as soon as you watch that film, you instantly know like, okay, this actually looks pretty cool. I want to know what happens next, even though the film's not actually about Annabelle. Obviously, we find out later about who that doll is. But in that scene, we see like those nurses finding it, and they're coming home, and the doll's just sat there. Like as soon as the film starts like that, you kind of feel like, all right, now you've got me locked in. I want to know what else you've got to show me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It has a great opening. It has a great vibe about it, and it really does work. And that's very similar for Conjuring 2. I know that's the Enfield poltergeist, which is definitely a fucking fake ass case. To me, that total bullshit. But the way they work it in the film is really good. With obviously Ed coming to London and Lorraine coming, and there's a demon attached to it. And obviously, it's Valak, the demon nun, or Valley, the demon priest. There's many of them out there. Conjuring 3, that's a piece of shit. That's a big ass pile of shit. The devil made me do it. The devil made me
Yeah.
take a shit. That's what it might as well be called. Like it just did not work for me at all. Some random ass fucking witch lady making dudes get possessed and kill people. It was, Jesus fucking Christ. I know it's
It's
supposed
like
to be a real case
the
again.
witch was just like, "Can you bless me with something money wise?"
Can you suck it?
What?
But yeah, 3 was shit. And then that's when you get into the kind of the side projects. I really like Annabelle 2. I know that's kind of amongst the horror community scene is pretty okay. The first Annabitch, we watched that in cinema. I remember me and you just fucking about, just shouting. Do you remember when that demon
Which one?
comes out the
Annabelle one.
elevator? The Annabelle 1 where the demon comes out the elevator and I was
Oh
shouting in
yeah,
the
yeah,
cinema,
yeah.
"Bring it over here!"
Yeah. You know what? That was a year later. Like,
Yeah.
see, we were so invested in the franchise already, and we'd only had one film. So when they released that in 2014, we were like, "Yo, they've made a film about the doll that is at the start of the film in the first one. Let's obviously
Yeah.
go watch it and see what it's about." And yeah, you're right. We did fuck about, but like, we still obviously watched it properly. And like, I did enjoy Annabelle one actually. When I think back to it, like, and I've seen it. We've watched it a few times, like since, like not many times, but we have watched it together since, like, when we've like done our movie watches. And Annabelle one, like in and of itself, is a decent horror film, isn't it? Like part of the franchise.
It's
It's not the
it's nothing
worst.
it's nothing special, but it does the trick.
It is funny though, that guy, that church guy, the priest, and I think, do you know what it is? The actress, she's Annabelle Wallace, isn't it? The one who plays the main character. She's a good actress, isn't it? So it does help when you've got a good actress playing the lead.
Mm.
She's
I remember that film. Is that the one that gets a bit deeper into the lore? Like there was some kind of weird cult, very kind of like Charles Manson-esque, like the 1960s. And there's something along the lines, like the real Annabelle Higgins, something like that.
I think I think so. I think you might be talking about the other one. Is it the? I'm not sure actually. I
Annabelle 2.
all I remember from Annabelle one is you know the doll going to Annabelle Wallace's character. I can't remember her name. One second, let me just quickly check. Her name's like Mia. She's called Mia. Anyway, I don't know if you remember this, but like she just loves dolls, isn't it? So her husband gets her a doll,
Mm.
but I think the neighbors throw it out, and then he finds it in the bin. Then he
No,
brings
it
it
was the
home.
thing that like it's in the first one. Because remember that they break at the start, they break into the house and they end up kill. And this is like the actual character Annabelle
Oh
Higgins,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
she gets
yeah,
killed and she like kind of becomes a demon or something, or some demon is attached to the doll because of that.
yeah. It does. It's sounding familiar now. I know what you're on about. There's a scene in it where, but they show that scene in a different film. Like there's a scene where there's some guy walks in it with a gun
Yeah,
because he wants the doll or something, or they're possessed. Which film is that though? Is that the first one, or is that
I
might
think
be
that's the
Annabelle
first.
Creation? You know,
I haven't seen Annabelle Creation, so is Annabelle Creation number 2?
it's technically the first one that you've seen Annabelle Creation.
Yeah, I've seen Annabelle. I've seen Annabelle Creation, and then I just didn't see the third one.
No, you've seen the third one. We watched it online once. Me,
Oh,
you,
we
and
did. Yeah.
you remember? And I did. I watched it actually. I think I watched that one with my cousin, like because I think you weren't really asked about it, and I wasn't asked about it either. But I think he was just like, "Let's go watch a film." So Annabelle was out at that time. Me and him went to watch that, and that is definitely the worst one from the Annabelle mini series. You know what I mean? That's just such a that is just oh it's a blatant cash grab when if you've ever seen one. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's just about his daughter, Ed and Lorraine's daughter. What happens is them two obviously go away on a case. Their car breaks down, so they can't come back in time or something. And some freaky shit's happening to their car as well because it's not moving. And then obviously, I don't know if you remember this now, but like she, her mate comes over to stay, and then that dumb bitch goes downstairs and lets everything out from the freaking that museum that they've got, and then everything, all hell breaks loose, and then all the demons come out, and by the time I don't know how she gets them all back in. Obviously, she's kind of grown up by that point, innit? So she's kind of been passed on a few of her mum's powers, Lorraine. So she manages to like basically put everything back in the case by the time they get back home. But Lorraine Warren does know that happened because she gets back home and she's like smiling at the daughter or something, and she's like she says something like "good work" or something. But that film is just so unnecessary, man. Yes, that's the worst one. Annabelle one, like you said, that we had a lot of bands with that, but also that's a decent horror film as well. And then obviously there's, like you say, the third one. I watched that at home and I just didn't like it at all. Like it was just making me fall asleep. Like I thought, you know what, let me just give it a chance. So I've seen it, and I really expected better, man. But like you're saying it, if it's not got James Wan directing it, then it's more or less going to be dead.
That's the point. Is there is a lot of shit in the franchise, and I just said this earlier, but that's something to not ever forget with this franchise. You have to wade through some shit at you to get to the gems, in a sense.
Yeah,
But even
and
the shit ones are there's a few of the shit ones are kind of fun because, like,
mm,
I see, I know you said Annabelle One is a pretty decent film. I don't think it's that good, but it just does what it says on the box. You're getting like a little creepy kind of ghost movie, right? Whereas maybe Conjuring One and Two are a bit more high tier in how good they are. Obviously,
I think
Annabelle Two is great.
if I've got one issue with the franchise though, it's like it's getting to the point now where it's hard to. I don't know if it's just me getting older and my brain's getting slow, but it's just for me it's kind of hard to keep up with the timeline now because it's all over the place. Like Annabelle Creation came out after Annabelle, but that's before well early in the 50s. Then the Nun 2 is actually the first one, even though
Mhm.
it's the latest film. It's just I don't know. It's becoming a bit like Terminator now, isn't it? Where you're having to
Yeah.
go back in time to see which demon was fucking which demon at that point, and which demon got born, and then which
Mm.
demon gave a blumpkin to which other another demon, and
Oh, of
there's too
course,
many
because you still
too
need
many
demons.
demons.
You know, that's totally right. But for me, I think it's interesting, the overview. I feel like since the 70s, obviously you have The Exorcist, you've got Paranormal Activity, The Blair Witch. You have all these kind of very interesting like ghost or demonic franchises. And post Conjuring, obviously I know just before Conjuring you get Insidious. Post Conjuring, you still got all these random, films like Exorcist films, not the actual franchising like the Pope's Exorcist, that one with
Oh yeah.
Russell Crowe. There was another one I went to go see a couple Halloweens ago, which was this kind of Exorcist movie. It was like a nun; she was learning the trade. Uh,
Oh yeah. I remember that one. I didn't watch it, but I remember that one.
but for me, I just think there's an interesting, I think, like sociological aspect to these kind of films, in a sense. Because for me, The Conjuring, I'm starting to personally get a bit bored of the kind of, not that I have an issue with this. This is not my point at all. But like the kind of religious undertones of the films, like like you obviously get a very kind of like strong Catholic sense, and I think there's some sociological reasons for that. Like I think it probably comes to like people's kind of anxieties around religion, and maybe people don't believe as much, but then in the back of their mind they still think of these things. So it kind of adds to a kind of social anxiety, maybe around, obviously people dealing with death and these kind of things, and that's why I think they're still so prominent. And although I have an issue with that at all, obviously I don't have an opinion on that, but it, I just think that's an interesting thing. But for me at this point now, it's becoming, because there's so much shit that they bring out, it becomes less interesting. It's like, oh, okay, here's another fucking Exorcist movie where they have to call the Catholic Church in, they have to bring in the priest. It's like I would like to see something a bit different, if you know what I mean.
Totally, yeah. No, bro, I absolutely agree. It's becoming very like it's like in a washing machine, and it's just going round and round, like coming out with nothing new. It's just literally like just the same bullshit. Like it it works in The Exorcist so well in it because that's just a classic for the age, isn't it? It's 50 years old, but it still lives up. Like we watched that last year, remember, and it was so good. Like, and that film worked in it for what it was. Like, the mum's she's so helpless. What does she do? She calls the priest and Dimi no, Dimi no. And the Dimi comes, and then Dimi's mum's always cussing him out because he's just I don't know, she's just pissed off with him. And then for that time period, it was 70s. It worked, didn't it? Because people were still quite religious back then. Especially like there's a lot of people believing in Christianity, and there still is, but like it's people have a bit more like a more broader outlook now, in it. People start to question a lot more things nowadays, and rightly so, in it. Each to their own. But you're right when you say like it's very recycled. Even like you went to watch Exorcist Believer right last year, and was that I ain't seen that, and I don't think I ever will. What was that like for you though? Like, I mean, the plot. I know you said it was shit, but like, what was the plot like? Was it very? Did a priest come and try to do the exorcism?
Well, at the end of it, they brought, as far as I remember, because again, the film was so just like blur, but they brought in a priest, they brought in some like random spiritualist lady, to like throw some like incense around the room. They brought in all these different people. I remember they bring in the Catholic priest and he dies. Spoiler. He just gets like whacked instantly, right? So it was a bit random, that film. I think, and I didn't like the ending as well. It was a bit too dark for me. Uh,
Mm.
that's what I was like, oh, a bit nihilistic in a sense. But for me, it was just, those trends are always interesting. And I love The Exorcist. It's an amazing film. The book is also great by William Peter Blatty. It's a great kind of creepy film, a staple of the horror genre. And I also like a lot of others. I like it, later on, I like Paranormal Activity, which doesn't have a strong religious aspect to it, but now it is Insidious in a sense. Uh, but I
No.
just like those. I like it's an interesting concept, and I think it's probably still recyclable because it's still a kind of very. It captures the public's consciousness in it. Everybody knows that. Everybody has those kind of backgrounds. Everybody has a kind of a confessional heritage, that's either going to be, Catholic or Protestant or something along those lines. Do you kind of, they're very powerful images. So you see that and you think, ah, shit, yeah, I'll go watch that because of, you obviously have that confessional heritage, and you also have watched The Exorcist, or you've seen The Exorcist, or you've seen the kind of like the broad pop culture around it. So it's always going to capture people. That's probably, I think, something very similar with the Conjuring franchise, where you see it and you know what you're getting into, right? They're gonna get
Yeah.
the dude, they're gonna do an exorcism, they're gonna say, get the fuck out, see you next year.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the second one is quite heavy on that, isn't it? When they go to London, Enfield, and obviously that's the famous case, isn't it? The Enfield poltergeist. Is it the Enfield poltergeist case that they're
Yeah.
basing it off, isn't it? That case is like pretty. They've made like spin-off films just on that film, anyway. I think there's an actual film called The Case of Enfield or something. And obviously that family's quite religious, isn't it? Um, that was like can't remember what year. That was like late 70s, so it makes sense, isn't it? Why people were still quite Christian back then, and they still are, but like it was pretty prominent back then, isn't it? Pretty
Mm.
standard. And obviously in Conjuring One at the end, it's mostly. I don't think they get a priest, do they? It's just Ed and Lorraine who just do the main thing.
But he's a certified exorcist, isn't he?
Yeah. So he's like, how do you become one? Do you need to like go to some sort of fucking school or something?
Yeah, I think you have to get like taught at some Catholic institution, from what I've heard.
Yeah. And you need permission from the Vatican, innit, to do the fucking exorcism.
Oh no! If you remember in Conjuring 1, they can't get a priest to do it, but he's seen it happen, so he just
Oh,
does it,
yeah.
doesn't he?
It does sound
Because I think
familiar.
they have to sanction a priest, a guy who like knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I think he's speaking to like some father, and he's like, "I give you permission or something to do
Let us pray.
it." Almighty Father, oh, on in heaven, and that unholy bitch Jerry who got kicked out of Survivor. Hey, fuck me!
Oh, this is not part of the ritual.
Oh, but yeah, that's see, that's I know that's going off a bit topic, but I think Scary Movie 2, innit? It just sort of kind of made humor of all them films who just always bring a fucking priest in it. Who just they've got nothing, they've got no other solution but just to bring a priest to try and solve this plot. And then once the priest gets the fucking demon out, game over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I liked it. I like obviously. It wasn't really an exorcism, was it? Much in two. It was just it was just Lorraine knowing Valak's name, which is still obviously we have banter with that in it, and I like it. You know, we have our own bants with that, but it sounds a bit redundant that she just that if you know a demon's name, that's enough for you to
Have control over it or like banish it.
Yeah, it seems like a big ass cheat code, isn't it? Like, you
I
need
don't
to.
know if that's supposed to be like real life law. I don't really know what the kind of the occultic law around demonology is. I'm sure there's
No.
something about that because I
They might
think
have
they
just.
do research,
I
don't
feel
they,
like
for these films?
I feel like they just made that up though.
Yeah,
I don't think if you know a demon's name, it will vanish. But I like the way. Obviously, so like we said in it, we're big. If you had to pick your top three, if I had to pick for you, I would say Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2, and probably Annabelle.
yeah.
Yeah, see, I agree. That's for me.
Wait, no, I would say Conjuring 1, Annabelle Creation, Conjuring 2, and then Annabelle 1. They're my top four.
We can only have three.
Three. Well, that's my top three then. Creation, well, Conjuring, Annabelle Creation, and then uh, Conjuring 2.
Creation's quite good because who's the actual? There's quite a few demons in it in the Conjuring franchise. There's Valak. Um, there's Bathsheba. But there's who's the fucker in Annabelle? Like, who's the actual Annabelle demon? What's his name? He's got a name. If you,
Uh,
it's so it never
Malthus.
Malthus. That's the bastard. Malthus. Do you remember that guy? They show
Yeah.
him slightly at the in Annabelle Creation when he's just fucking about mad. Like he kills one of the not foster home, but like where it's the place where all the kids go to stay, and he kills the main like housekeeper guy, and they show his like body, and it's just like, yo, he looks kind of like you don't want to fuck with him, give him what he wants. Do you know what I mean? But I think out of all the, and then I'm not obviously you watched three properly. I kind of watched it a bit half-hearted, if I'm honest. Do you know the demon's name in that one?
In which one?
In
In
Conjuring 3?
Conjuring 3.
Demon calling that?
I don't know if it ever actually has a name because it's a witch who's controlling a
It's a
demon.
witch, isn't
And then
it?
as
Yeah.
soon as that curse is broken, the demon fucks up the witch. So,
That film is so freaking dumb, man. It basically it doesn't isn't that film like so the demon like kind of transfers from one brother to the next, isn't it?
yeah.
Some bullshit like that, man. It's just so like I get they needed to make a new one in it, but it's
They
just
wanted to do something different, but it was a crock of shit.
and it's about Arnie, innit? Arnie something. Arnie on the mic. Arnie on the mic. Arnie Chayan Johnson or something.
Yeah,
It's based on that case, isn't it? But in Connecticut, but they obviously call it "The Devil Made Me Do It."
yeah,
What's it called? The Devil. Yeah, the Devil Made Me Do It, innit? It's called that.
yeah. The devil made me take a shit. That's what they think.
Yeah, but I guess it was it was always going to be dead because most third films. I know it's not the third film in the franchise, but it's the third film in the Conjuring trilogy, innit? And
Mm,
as to quote Scream 3, most third films in a trilogy always tend to be, as Randy said, always tend to be weaker. I mean, so you got to
yeah,
change it.
exactly. We'll see. They are doing Conjuring 4, though, aren't they? So,
I don't know, man. They say it, but it's not been officially confirmed, man. I just
it'll
don't. Let
happen.
me see if I can find anything on it. Like, I just don't think. Yeah, look, future. Let me see. It's called Conjuring: The Last Rites, 2025. So I guess if it's here, then in October 2022, a sequel to The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It was revealed to be in development.
Mhm.
Uh, oh shit! James Wan would return as producers. Oh wait, they were producing the other ones anyway.
Yeah,
They just fucking obviously they're gonna get their dosh in it. Like they deserve it. But I'd love it if he returned to direct it, man. It would make it so better. Like you can understand if you were James Wan, would you return?
oh yeah.
You'd return, innit? I don't get why he doesn't.
Well, these guys, it's just he's a big man, no, and he does Aquaman and shit.
Can you believe he made he did Fast and Furious 7?
Aquafina.
Can you believe he directed Fast and Furious 7?
Yeah, to be fair, I can actually. The guy's got some directing chops.
Yeah, but it's just such a big jump in it from doing Saw and then Conjuring to just. And then I remember that was like Paul Walker's last film, innit?
Yeah,
Well, it does say here the film is scheduled to be released on September 5th, 2025. So,
that's true.
um, if that is. Oh, wait. Oh, so it does say the project is intended to be seen as the finale of the stories in the franchise that have come before.
Ah,
So
good.
if that is the case, I am actually good. I'm good with that. I don't
So
mind one
we'll
more.
fucking
I
end
think we
it.
need one more, but not one more spin-off. We need one more Conjuring movie and make it a good one, please.
Let the shit die.
Yeah, it's like it's like fucking Loomis in it in Halloween 2018. It needs to die. It needs to die.
Yeah, honestly.
Um, but yeah, I don't mind one more. If this was the fifth one and the third one and the fourth one were dead, I'd actually be. The thing is, having said that, we went to watch Insidious the Red Door in it last year. That was 10 years after number two, even though 3 and 4 came out, but it was 10 years after the main boys in it. Uh, the Lambert family. It was about the Lambert family, so that's why it kind of. Obviously, we went to watch it because Ed was back. Not Ed, sorry, Patrick Wilson, and it was his directorial debut. And
Mm.
I don't. Obviously, we'll touch on Insidious in another episode, but I didn't think it was that bad. But it was definitely shit. Like it
For me,
wasn't.
it's a bit unforgettable.
Yeah, I understand. I see why. It was just like that's it now, innit? Like let this shit die.
It
Do you
needs
know,
to
it was mostly
die.
about his kid in it. Patrick Wilson was barely in it. It was
Yeah,
mostly about
that's
his
true.
kid, like showing his dad, like he's got some big cojones now and he can do this shit himself.
He's the big man.
Big man with a big beard. Yo, um, we can't finish this episode though, but without doing the scene from Conjuring 2, which is if obviously you guys won't know, but me and Will love this scene. It's the Bill Wilkins scene where he's like talking to Janet whilst Janet's talking to Morris. And Bill's like talking to Ed, I think, as well.
Mm.
So I'll start it off. We'll just do a bit. Uh, Ed, Eddie, Edward. Ed is fine, thanks. Oh, I died of an hemorrhage in the chair in the corner. My name is Bill. Bill Wilkins. I'm 63 years old, and I come from the grave. Do you remember the bit? You need to do this line now. And then the
Oh,
mum.
leave us alone.
No, I'm going to say that to you, and you need to say what Janet says.
Ugh.
Yeah. Do you know what she says, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh,
I know I don't know. I think so.
let's test it. Why don't you just leave us alone?
Oh, shut up, you old cow.
And then all the lines start. Yeah, that's the line. Oh, man. Do you think the Enfield case is true? I bet you're one of them, innit? You think it's true, man.
I said earlier, I think it's a load of old shit.
I know. I just
Fucking
want to
jumping up in the air and come on, don't piss me.
Yeah, it's funny though, isn't it? It's just. Oh, what else is in Conjuring 2? Like, oh yeah, obviously we mentioned this earlier, innit? But like, it's so dumb how she knows her name. Like, and then that's. Can you believe it? Like, bro, Valak is doing madness in The Nun, and obviously The Nun 2. I've not seen The Nun 2, but she's doing bits, yeah. And all that it takes to get rid of her is I have dominion over you, demon. As I know your name is Valak.
She fucking doesn't run off.
Yeah, then she just that face that she makes when Lorraine says, "I know your name, demon, Valak."
Yeah.
I know the defiler, the Marquis of Snakes. I send you back to hell. You'll get fucked, you bitch.
Oh, you fucking. Oh, God. What a
What do
film.
you think? Like, is the Conjuring the last rites? Should be the last one, isn't it? I mean, if it says last rites, I think it has to be.
I hope so.
Yeah, but we do need to give Conjuring its flowers. Definitely the first and the second one. What do you
Mm.
think?
Yeah, definitely. I think very, very good. Really kind of hit the nail on the head of the franchise.
Yeah, there's nothing been like, nothing's come out that's been pretty much like it, has it? Since nothing of
Mm.
note, nothing like no supernatural franchise has come out since Conjuring that we can say like it's similar or equal to it.
Mm. Indeed.
So, and I don't think there will be, because, like you say, Hollywood's just got no brains anymore.
Mm.
Uh, but what can you do? Such is life, my brother.
Indeed. So, that's the. I know there's been a bit of a rambler. This, but we just want to kind of talk about the franchise overall. We'll probably be hitting you with next week something a bit different.
They love
So
us when we ramble, man.
yeah, just so yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, give us a share it to your friends, give us a follow on Instagram /Gash Horror Podcast. Uh,
Yeah, if not, we'll send Valak to your house. Do a
so
madness.
peace out, people.
Yeah, like Will said, hope you enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe. It really does help the channel. Let us know what you want to what you want us to talk about next, if there's anything. If you just want us to talk about random shit, we'll talk about random shit. If you want us to talk about a specific topic, we can do that as well. Instagram /Gash podcast. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll see you in the next one very soon. Stay spooky.